Welcome to the Freedom Club Podcast, where we strive to pull you out of your life of quiet desperation, out of your comfort zone of misery, and propel you into a life of freedom and fulfillment. And now, here's your host for this journey, international speaker and coach, and serial entrepreneur, Kurt Mercadante.
This is the Freedom Club Podcast. I am your very grateful host, Kurt Mercadante. How are you doing this fine day? I hope you're having a day, a week, a month, a year filled with freedom and abundance. I was just on my back deck, and for those of you who follow me regularly on this podcast or on LinkedIn, Facebook, in my private Facebook group, the Freedom Club Community, you will have seen some photos, some video of our backyard, and we live right on a salt marsh here in Charleston, South Carolina. And with that salt marsh, it's brackish water, so it's fresh water mixed with salt water, but the tides roll in and roll out. And this morning when I woke up, it was beautiful. The sun was reflecting off the water. It was at high tide. That comes up within a few feet of our house. It's beautiful. I was just on the back deck, and it's almost empty, right? That tide rolls in and rolls out, and it's beautiful, but sometimes it can get a little bit scary. When hurricanes roll in, that marsh in the back that's so placid and right now is almost empty is really full. It gets right up to our house. There's actually whitecaps sometimes when the storms come through, and it gets scary. Now, we could sit there and be paralyzed by fear. Oh my gosh, the storm is coming, the tide's coming, but there's nothing I can do. I can't jump out in that marsh and hold back the tide. I can't will away the coming hurricane. What we can do is put together a contingency plan. Maybe we board up the house. We do certain things around the house. We have a generator. We could leave town. A lot of people evacuate. My family's done that before. In short, we focus on the things we can control rather than being paralyzed by fear and sitting and stewing in our anxiety over the things we can't control. And it's not just true about storms. It's true about the coming storms in our lives. All too often, and listen, I'm guilty of this too, we sit paralyzed in fear thinking about the things we can't control in our lives. I get a lot of questions about toxic relationships. And in many, if not most cases, you're not going to change the other person in that toxic relationship. But what you can control, it's not their behavior. You can control your behavior and how you react to it. Always focus on those things you can control. A big part of the freedom lifestyle, and if you regularly listen to this podcast, you know this, is building a radically outcomes-focused life. You know, part of that is setting a clear life vision, that desired outcome you want for your life, and then reverse engineering it so that every year, every month, every week, every day, you have clearly defined outcomes that all lead up to your life vision. But when you focus on those outcomes, listen, I've set outcomes and shit happens. Life throws you a curveball. Nature happens. Injuries happen. Whatever. Sickness, illness, death, they all happen. So on the way to your outcomes, sometimes you're going to get knocked off the path. And when that happens, you got to focus on what you can control in that situation. I have a health outcome, a fitness outcome this year of doing 50 nonstop pull-ups. But over the past 3 weeks, it's become really apparent that I have some sort of nerve damage or pinched nerve or something that prevents me from now doing pull-ups or actually even any pulling exercise. So like pulling the door closed even hurts. Now, I got upset about it. I tried to work around it. I probably made the injury worse. When I say probably, I guaranteed it made the injury worse. And then it dawned on me, listen, the one thing I can control in this situation, which it's a shitty situation, is I can rest. I can let it heal. I can't magically say, a few magic words and all of a sudden it gets better. There are things in this situation I can control and things I can't. And so I'm focusing on the things I can. I'm going to rest it, and hopefully I come back and I'm able to keep moving forward. If that's not the case, then I got to deal with that situation. So I challenge you this week. I want you to audit each and every day. And when you find those days when you're stressed, when you have extra anxiety, when you're paralyzed by fear, when you're stuck in neutral, are you focusing on the things in your life that you cannot control? Or are you going to start focusing on those things, because there are things in every single situation that you can control. And sometimes those things are ending a toxic relationship, stepping back and resting, right? Sometimes something you can control is quitting, is giving up. Sometimes that's actually the best solution. Sometimes saying no to things is the absolute best solution. And that decision, that ability to say no, is absolutely within your control. I actually had to bow out of a conference this week that I was really looking forward to going to, but I had set some really aggressive outcomes for the next month. And I talk with you all the time about not setting too many outcomes, making sure your outcomes don't become your inputs, staying focused, stripping away everything that doesn't bring you to your desired outcomes. And that conference fell in a category of things that weren't bringing me closer to my desired outcomes. It was a tough decision, but it was my choice. I didn't let my fear of missing out, I didn't let my sense of responsibility to someone else overcome my responsibility that I have to my family, to myself, to the desired outcomes I've set that are moving myself, my work, and my family forward. So, my message for you today, my challenge for you today is, if you are stuck in neutral, if you are paralyzed in fear, are you focusing on the things you can control or the things you can't control? Audit each and every day. When you find yourself in a situation like that, I want you to step back, look for the things you can control, focus on them, and that is a big part of moving toward the freedom lifestyle.